Hey guys, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and this is my detailed review, dyno test, and drive of the Edge Evolution CS2 device loaded with 3 Edge tunes, a performance, economy, and towing tune available for your 2015 and up 5-liter F150. The Edge CS2 is going to be for any F150 owner out there looking to take advantage of a preloaded tune and device combo offering a performance, economy, and towing tune along with some of the best miles per gallon in the category. Now, it's also going to be a fantastic choice for someone who wants to take advantage of those preloaded tunes, but also wants to get most of the features of Edge's flagship device, the CS2, but without the massive touchscreen and without the big price tag. In this video, I'm going to talk about why you might want to choose the CS2 over some of your other aftermarket tuning options available here at American Muscle. We're going to talk about the power improvements over stock, the fuel economy benefits, and of course the drivability. But hang out with me, we have a lot to talk about in this video, including walking you through the CS2 itself, taking a spin later in our tuned 5-liter truck. But first, let's talk about the power improvements you can expect when using this tuner. All right guys, now before we made any pulls with our F150, we replaced those big heavy 35s in the rear with the factory wheel and tire setup just for the most accurate results with our dyno jet. We then proceeded to grab our baseline run using 87 octane and the factory calibration. We then drained all the 87 out of the truck, filled it with 93 octane, and uploaded the Edge 91 octane performance tune, re-ran the truck one more time, and here are those results. Baseline run using our 2015 5-liter F150 on 87 octane gave us 278 horsepower and 316 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels. With the Edge 91 octane race tune, the truck made 282 horsepower, 328 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels, 4 horsepower and 12 pound-feet of torque peak, and 15 horsepower and 14 pound-feet of torque under the curve. Breaking down these numbers a little further, guys, the blue line is our baseline pull using 87 octane with basically a factory truck. However, with our 91 octane race tune installed or uploaded, the truck definitely did a lot better throughout the entire RPM range, especially down low here. We picked up a good amount of torque in your big operating RPM range, basically 2,000 to 4,000, 5,000 RPM. The truck is definitely a lot torquier, and that's what you want when you're driving one of these rigs around all day long. Now, overall, guys, you're probably wondering why these numbers aren't as good as some of your other options here on the site, and the answer is pretty simple. Edge designs their tunes to work for 87 to 91 octane. They don't design a specific 93 octane tune, and as such, they can't be as aggressive with things like ignition timing, for instance, or air-fuel ratio, and again, the numbers suffer because of that. Now, overall, they're still a very good tune. You can just use them with a lower octane fuel. You're not going to see as big of numbers as you might see with an SET or an MPT, for instance, but overall, still a very solid tune. So with the numbers out of the way, let's get back to the table and we'll break down the Edge tunes a little further. Now guys, the Edge tunes are 50 state legal and they are CARB certified, so even F150 owners in tough states like California, for instance, will be able to take advantage of the Edge tuning here without any issues. Just to remind you guys, you are getting 3 preloaded tunes here with the Edge CS2. You're getting an economy and towing tune, which can be used with 87 and higher octane fuel, and finally that race tune, which needs 91 or higher octane in order to function. Now again, this is nice because you do have some options when going with the Edge tune. If you go with a different preloaded device, such as an SET here, for instance, they're only going to offer you a performance tune. So to have a few options with the Edge is definitely a nice little feature. Now, in order to see what the Edge tunes and the CS2 were all about, I've been pounding the pavement in our 5-liter truck all week long with this device and the tunes uploaded, just to get a better overall feel for the drivability, the power improvements, and of course the fuel economy. Now, even though the Edge tunes didn't make as much power as some of your other options here on the site, it absolutely decimated the competition when it comes to miles per gallon, tying the Super Chips option here for some of the best miles per gallon in the category. Now guys, my drive to and from work does include some highway and back road driving, and with the factory calibration on 87 octane, I was seeing roughly 11 to 12 miles per gallon on average. Doesn't sound that great, I know, but keep in mind our truck is lifted 6 inches. We are hauling around some 35s and I have a heavy foot. Now with the Edge 91 octane economy tune installed or uploaded, I was seeing anywhere from 15, high 15s, even 16 miles per gallon. That's approaching EcoBoost territory here. Again, even more impressive when you consider the setup of our rig. As far as pricing, guys, here's what you can expect when looking at the CS2. Now, essentially, you're getting a miniature version of Edge's flagship device, the CTS2, for just north of $400, which in my opinion is very, very good. Now, granted, you're not getting the large 5-inch touchscreen, but you are getting most most of the features of the big brother here for 200 bucks less, and they're even tossing in a windshield mount. Now, even though I can sit here and talk about all the features with the CS2, you'd probably prefer to see me plug it in and actually use this thing, and then we'll take the truck out for a drive. All right, guys, so driving around our F-150 with the 91 octane Edge tune-up loaded. Let's hammer it a little bit here. As you can see, it definitely ripped off a big downshift, and we're motivating, man. Here we go. Definitely stronger than before in factory trim, the factory calibration. Overall, the truck feels good. I mean, it definitely feels a little bit more powerful than it did before in factory form, especially over 87 octane. The transmission settings, I have to be honest, I was a little disappointed. The trans feels a little soft for my liking personally. Preferably, I like to see a little bit more shifting, especially here with the 5-liter truck. This thing likes to see those higher RPMs. I would have liked to see maybe more shifts to get me up in that higher RPM a little bit more, downshifting I should say. But overall, again, this is gonna be geared more towards somebody that might be a little bit more, you know, after a towing specific tune, or maybe even more of that fuel economy, again, because the Edge Super Chips are both kind of in the same ballpark in regards to fuel economy, and they both did astronomical. I mean, the truck, for being lifted 6 inches, for hauling around these 35s, to get the miles per gallon I was seeing with this thing all week long, again, it made me kind of reconsider my EcoBoost F-150, because I was impressed. I mean, I'll be honest, on 87 octane, factory calibration, this thing is a pig, especially with these wheels and tires, especially with the lift. For making a little bit more power, but still picking up that kind of fuel economy, that's huge. The nice thing too with the Edge preloads is just how easy it is to switch tire size, switch axle ratios, things like that. I mean, the device itself, all of the devices I tested from Edge are very user-friendly. So I guess to summarize, in driving the truck around with the Edge preloads, 91 octane race tune, again, you're gonna see similar power using their economy and using their towing as well, as long as you're using the same octane. But the drivability is slightly different as well. So you're seeing a little bit more throttle response with their race tune. The tune is a little softer with their economy tune as far as off throttle or part throttle. But again, I mean, the economy is as advertised. You're seeing a ton of economy. And I really, if you couldn't tell, I mean, that's the big seller here, I think, with the Edge products. Honestly, at the end of the day, if you're after a tune that's gonna be very pleasurable to drive every day, as far as it won't be snapping you around. I mean, some people might like the snappy shifts. Some people might like the fact that this thing shifts very soft and very easy. You know, I mean, if you're basically happy with kind of the truck being a little smoother, maybe riding a little bit more like a caddy or something like that, then you might prefer the softer shifts of the Edge products. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how this thing's driving. Now let's head back to the shop and I'll walk you through the operation of the device. Now the CS2, guys, is going to be the little brother to Edge's flagship device, the CTS2, and basically combines all of the great functions with that bigger, more expensive device, the CTS2, shrinks them down into a smaller little package here. You're not getting the touchscreen, but you are getting a lot of the same very cool features. So we'll navigate through it a little bit here. Now, one thing I kind of found out during using this thing is that sometimes the buttons can get a little confusing at first. That's to be expected when you're getting something new or getting used to something new. I'm sure if you use this thing after a few weeks, you'll get the hang of it real quickly. But overall, pretty nifty little device. So as you can see, this thing is very small. I mean, the CTS2 is a 5-inch touchscreen device. This thing looks like to be maybe a 2-inch screen. It's all button operated. This isn't touchscreen whatsoever. But again, you are getting a lot of the same usability and functionality out of this device as you would with the CTS2. So let's first, again, it starts you off here on the gauge screen. Now you do have 2 different screens you can pick from when it comes to choosing your layout. So we have the more modern device and then we have the digital readout. Again, you can fully customize these screens how you prefer. You can go into them even and kind of go into each one. Choose what you would like to display here. For instance, right now, we can choose a different PID as they call them. So here are some of your options when it comes to that. You have your engine coolant temperature, engine load, RPM, your G-force calculator if taking turns is your thing and you want to see how many G's you're pulling, gear, horsepower, stuff like that. I mean, there really is a lot to choose from with the Edge devices is what I found. And a lot of it's pretty cool, and it's some stuff that you really can't find with the SET device, for instance. Like measured horsepower and torque is one of those things. And we actually found it to be pretty accurate compared to our dyno numbers, so it is pretty cool that they're able to do that. You know, trip odometer, things like that. Now granted, some of this stuff is more of a, you know, kind of a gimmick thing, I would say, but a lot of this stuff is very valuable and very useful, and I think you'll get some good use out of the device itself. So we'll go back here, we'll bring it to the main menu. Here's our main menu with the CS2. Again, you'll see a lot of this stuff with the CTS2, but we'll run down a little bit here. We'll save the programming for last. We'll show you how to flash the tune. But here's the screen layouts I was talking about. So we had the master already picked out there. So let's go with the needles and see what that looks like for our. So here's the different needle gauges, for instance. Again, maybe a little bit more of a retro theme for you. It's really all up to you. There are a few different options, as you can tell here with the Edge CS2. This one's probably a little easier to read than some of them. And again, you can go into those and choose which gauge you'd like to assign to each thing. All right, so we touched on the screen layout. Again, you can change your background even. That's one thing that I think a lot of people might like with this as well. You have kind of a carbon fiber, fire, diamond plate. So you do have a lot of options, as you can see. We've got camo there, can't forget the camo. Kind of a splatter pattern. So again, some different options there. I know a lot of times this stuff is kind of silly, but a lot of people at home really do enjoy having the functionality and the options to change out your own layouts. Go back to the main menu here. Again, it is kind of operating this gauge can be a little clumsy sometimes because you're essentially utilizing a home button and a back button as your yes or no, along with navigating the, the control pad or the directional pad. So it does take a little getting used to. I will say that. The touchscreen devices are much easier in my opinion, or even the SET gauges. They just seem to be a little bit more user-friendly. All right, so we talked about the layouts. This is your record screen. Again, this thing does do performance tests as well, such as your 0 to 60, your miles per hour, quarter mile, your RPM, and of course your transmission fluid temperatures as well. It just keeps track of all the peaks of this or your bests, just to keep track of them, maybe better them as you get some more modifications with your truck. Back at the home screen here, the performance tests I was just talking about. Again, 0 to 60, quarter mile, and it actually measure your horsepower. We talked about that a little earlier, just to give you a general gauge if you don't have a dyno close to you. We did find it to be pretty accurate within a few horsepower of our actual dyno results, so it's something you can go by. The CS2, like a lot of the modern day tuners, can be used as a data logging device. As you can see, we're in the data logging screen now. If you wanted to go ahead and delete data log, you basically just grab one. Really easy, record what you need to record, it'll save it for you and you can offload that onto your computer. Diagnostics, again, something that's very handy on today's modern devices. This is going to be where you come to read and clear your check engine codes or check engine lights. As you see, we don't really have any here with our F150 right now, but if you did have some check engine lights, this is where you would go and this is where you would clear them. Now, Maintenance Manager. This is one of the big things with the Edge devices that a lot of the other devices won't offer you. Very cool, very handy, and if you're somebody that likes to really do your own maintenance at home, you don't prefer to take it to a dealer or a shop to do all this maintenance, this will come in handy. Now you can turn this on and basically at this point set up your different maintenance items. For instance, it'll notify you when you need to change your air filter, change your axle fluid, cabin air filter, engine coolant, engine oil, fuel filter, the list goes on and on. It even lets you know when you need to check your brake pads, or even lube up some of your drive shaft, fittings and all that stuff as well, or lube your front drive shaft. So again, it does offer you a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of stuff to play with. So if you're a gadget guy, this is obviously a great choice for you. The CS2 and both the CTS2 are gonna offer you probably the most stuff to play with in regards to all of the handheld devices here on the site. Obviously this thing's shrunken down a little bit. So if you don't want that big 5-inch touchscreen with the CTS2, but you want all the same functionality, the CS2 is definitely the good way to go. Settings, this is something you're gonna find with a lot of modern devices as well here. Again, this is where you can set up different alerts. So you can set up, like for instance, if your air-fuel ratio gets a little lean or if your trans temp gets a little hot, this thing will notify you via a warning light, alerts, things like that. All stuff you can set up within the device itself. You can turn the sound on or off, change the auto dim feature. This is basically your usability stuff here when you plug it in. So let's go back to the main menu. Again, this is the programming tab. Let's touch on this really quickly here because this is where you want to go when it does come time to flash your truck. As you can see, we have economy, towing, and race. Now when you do select one of these, and even stock here, if you do want to flash your truck back to stock at any point, obviously that's what you would do there. Let's go ahead and check the race out. Flashing the truck for the very first time, it's going to take you a few minutes. Obviously you can see it's saving your stock ECU settings now. Again, if you do wish to revert to stock at some point, you're going to need that. But the first time you flash the truck should take you a few minutes. Very easy install, as you can see, guys. You're really just hitting a few buttons. Shouldn't take any more than a few minutes. We always have a little difficulty meter or rating here. This is a 1 out of 3 wrenches on my difficulty meter. Very, very easy stuff. Anybody can really do it. All right, guys, well, we just went ahead and flashed the truck using the CS2, the Edge programmer, and now it's actually going to prompt you if you want to change some of the options with the tune itself. So we'll go ahead and hit yes. So here's where you can have basically the option to change your tire size. For instance, we have 35s on our rig, so we would go down and change that to 35, which is very cool. Again, it's nice to have this option because this is just essentially going to calibrate your speedo, so you're not off there. Really, really handy to have, of course. And it's something you almost come to expect out of the modern day tuning devices here. But you know, speed limiter, your gear ratio, for instance, if you do end up changing your gears eventually. Fan temperature, you can have your fan come on at a different temperature for you if you'd like. So if you want it to come on a little lower than usual, obviously you can see we can do that. And that's pretty much it. So we can reset all these values. You can change your gear ratio, your tire size, your speed limiter, and then from there you just basically continue with the program and you should be all loaded up and ready to go. So that's my review of the Edge Gas Evolution CS2 tuner and monitor, available for your Coyote-powered F-150, and you can grab yours right here at AmericanMuscle.com.